of Sweetsville, where houses were made of chocolate and rivers flowed with caramel, lived Larry the Lollipop. He was an all-sorts lollipop, stripes of lemon, orange, grape and cherry on top of a swirling vanilla cream. And Larry had a big dream. He wanted to be a doctor for sweet treats. You see, Larry loved all the yummy things in life, cookies, cupcakes, gummy worms, and especially ice cream. But unfortunately, all the best things in life weren't so great for your teeth. And that's why Larry the Lollipop wanted to become a dentist. Now, you're probably thinking it is easy to fix cavities when you live in a world made of sugar. Well, you'd be wrong. You see, Larry wasn't just any lollipop. He was a very sensitive lollipop. Every time he ate something too rich, his own candy coating started to melt away. One bite of a cookie and his yellow jacket was gone. One lick of an ice cream cone and he was down to his red shorts. Even a sip of hot cocoa left him feeling sick and sticky. So how could Larry the Lollipop ever become a dentist if he couldn't even eat sweets without melting all over them? It was a tough spot to be in, but Larry refused to give up on his dream. Every day he studied hard, learning everything there was to know about teeth. He read books about cavities and watched videos about filling drills. He learned how to take x-rays and how to pull out a molar or two, and he even got braces for his back teeth. But Larry still had one big problem. He couldn't get close enough to his patients to check their teeth without getting all melty. That was until one day when he was reading a book about fillings. He came across a passage that talked about using special tools to reach the hard-to-reach places. Larry's eyes popped wide open. That was it. If he couldn't get close enough to check teeth, then he would just have to build a tool to do it for him. He went to work right away, gathering materials to build his dream invention. He collected long sticks from the trees, shiny buttons for handles, and some old cans to make the body. At first, his contraption looked more like a giant screwdriver than anything else. But as he worked, Larry's invention slowly took shape, using the sturdy stick as a base. He fastened buttons to the ends and connected them all together with cans. Voila! Larry had created a tool to examine teeth without getting too close. It was perfect. The only thing left to do was name it. Larry thought long and hard about this. He wanted a name that was both cool and represented what his invention did. Then it hit him. He would call it the Tooth Twister. Larry was so happy he had finally finished his invention. He couldn't wait to use it to help his friends. His first patient was Crumbs the Cookie, a chocolate chip cookie with sprinkles on top. Crumbs had been having a terrible toothache, but Larry was so nervous about using his new invention that he kept messing up. First, he accidentally dropped the tooth twister on Crumbs' foot, almost crushing it. Then when he tried to look at Crumbs' teeth, he got so close that he melted a chunk of Crumbs' chocolate chip right off. After that, Larry took a step back and calmed down. He reminded himself that he was doing this to help Crumbs and all the other sweets in Sweetsville. Larry needed to overcome his fear so he could make his dream come true. Taking a deep breath, Larry tried again. This time he was careful not to drop the tooth twister and he kept a safe distance as he examined Crumbs' mouth. "You have a cavity," Larry said gently. "But don't worry, I'll fix it right up." Crumbs was so relieved to finally have someone who could help him. But then he started to cry. "I'm scared," he said. "I've never had a filling before." Larry put down his tool and walked over to Crumbs. "Don't worry," he said, giving Crumbs a reassuring smile. "It'll be over before you know it." Larry quickly got to work fixing Crumbs' tooth. He cleaned out the hole with a tiny pick and then carefully filled it with some sweet cream. As he worked, he explained everything he was doing so Crumbs wouldn't be afraid. And before long, the filling was complete. "There you go," Larry said. "All better." Crumbs looked at Larry with big, grateful eyes. "Thank you," he said. "I feel so much better now." From that day on, Crumbs the Cookie and Larry the Lollipop became best friends. And Larry's dream of becoming a dentist came true. He continued to help all the sweets in Sweetsville. From Princess the Cupcake, who had a terrible case of tooth decay, to Rocky the Gummy Worm, who was in need of a filling. With the help of his trusty tooth twister, Larry the Lollipop was able to treat all sorts of dental problems without getting too close to his patients. One day, while Larry was checking on a new patient, he suddenly felt a strange sensation. He looked down and gasped. His candy coating was starting to melt away. He quickly backed away from his patient, worried that he was too close. But when he looked down, he realized something amazing. He wasn't melting because he was too close to his patient. He was because he was smiling. As he looked around the room, at all the happy faces of his patients, Larry realized that being a dentist wasn't just about the tools or the treatments. It was about making your patients feel better. And as he continued to help his friends, Larry's heart grew bigger and his candy coating grew stronger. From that day on, Larry the Lollipop continued to help all the sweets in town. He became known as the bravest lollipop in the land for being able to face his fears and help others. He also learned that true happiness came not from avoiding the things that scared him, but from facing them head on. As the years passed, Larry's dream of becoming a dentist became a reality, and he never forgot the important lesson he learned along the way. The sweetest part of it all was that he didn't have to choose between his dream and his candy coating, because in the end, it was his bravery and kindness that made him the bravest lollipop in the land. And so the legend of Larry the Lollipop, the dentist who melted but never gave up on his dream, lives on in the land of Sweetsville and beyond. Reminder to us all that no matter how scary things may seem, with a little bravery and a lot of heart, we can achieve our dreams and maybe even melt a few hearts along the way.